the champs. And if you go back to the end of the regular season last year, really where everybody had them, they're the kind of the surprise champs, right? As Jesse said, to start last postseason, I'm quoting him. The Vegas Golden Knights are what, Jesse?
What? I don't know. What did I say?
You said they were mid, and that's what was.
No, but it was good.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was bad.
Hey, it was a good thing.
No.
Okay.
Listen, it was because they were mid in goals for, mid in goals against, mid in every other category, in goaltending especially. And look at that. They go and they win the cup because they steamrolled, dominated every opponent, with the exception of the Oilers.
Really the argument was the balance that they had just being good to great at every single category of their team was the way to win playoff hockey, and it worked out.
Hugely beneficial.
They got what they needed. They played heavy, got some saves, and got some big playoff performances.
Now, what would you say their over-under in points is this year?
103.5.
Jesse?
I know they finished 110 points last year. So I'm going to say this market's at 105.5.
Steve nailed it.
Yeah!
103.5.
Hey,
finally!
I think that's an over, right?
I'm going to take over.
That's got to be an over. They had 110 points last year.
Yeah, but like you go to the cup and you maybe take a little step back.
You
guys
bring
are
back
always
the entire roster. They brought back everybody. Nobody's healthy.
Yeah, but guys are hurt.
Who's hurt?
Well, but they're hurt in.
They're not hurt in Landeskog ways.
No, they're hurt in I'm sleepy ways. It's different. There's the cup hangover for most teams. We forget that that's a thing because of Tampa Bay, but it affects most teams.
But they have depth and they have line strength like Tampa Bay did.
Yeah. That's the thing. We have an outlier team again, and they did it, and they won the cup, and they literally lost one piece in Riley Smith, who was an OG misfit. And it's a shame that he's no longer on the team, but they replaced him. They got Ivan Barbashev at the trade deadline, and now they re-signed him, and he's on the team. So that's the replacement. They have one piece missing from a cup team.
That's so not fair.
Everybody's back?
Yeah.
I don't know how you don't look at them and say, hey, cup favorites.
And also, it doesn't look like Robin Lehner's
I didn't say they're not.
It doesn't look like Robin Lehner's going to play ever again.
No.
So they have that LTIR space if they do want to upgrade. And I feel like, listen, nothing against Chandler Stevenson, but you do feel like maybe the center position is a spot that they might want to look at. This team is a little bit older than everybody thinks. And there are some players like Pietrangelo who's up there. Marchessault is on the last year of his deal. Alec Martinez on the last year of his deal. Chandler Stevenson on the last year of his deal. I'm wondering, and this is going to seem like a bold question, but is this already the last year for these guys in this room to get this done again?
Dude, I was right there with you. I was going to take it a step further. Like the Vegas Golden Knights are ice cold. Ice cold.
Vicious
their
with
decisions.
players. Yeah.
Almost all of those guys you just mentioned, they could trade them. Absolutely. They could trade them.
If they trade Marchessault, it's going to break my heart.
I don't... Oh, man.
Him
I was
and Willie
about
Karlsson
to say...
and Riley Smith, man. Like the OGs.
I wouldn't even let myself say I don't see them doing it to him. They did it to Fleury.
Yeah.
Anything that could make this team better, which could potentially be trading a pending UFA, they're going to do. The cap space you get from losing a guy to free agency is valuable to them, but I could see them moving guys if they have to.
Steve, around what day was the cup awarded?
June 20th.
They traded Riley Smith on June 28th. You don't think they could trade one of these guys? Yeah, they're in it to win it the cup every single year. So all of that's on the table, and they're going to try and be the best they can at all points. So I don't know why you would ever bet against the Vegas Golden Knights ever again.
Well, especially when they make the moves that they make. And you're right. Yeah. I mean, this is a team that gets itchy feet at the slightest little bit of trouble with certain players. One question I have, guys, is obviously I want to talk Barbashev. I want to talk about some of this stuff, but Jack Eichel for me didn't play a full 82, played 67. The year before he played 34. If healthy, can this guy finally be a sleeper pick to be in the top 5 in NHL scoring?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But again, like he's exactly the sort of player I'm talking about. He played a mostly full season. Pretty banged up, though. Did miss some time. Goes through a long playoff run, and he doesn't have the greatest track record of this. Like, how many games is he even going to play, right? Your question is valid. If he plays a full 82, absolutely he could finish in the top 10, top 5 in scoring. But my faith in that happening is low because I just don't think that's a priority for the Vegas Golden Knights organization. It's not a priority to have any of their guys play a full 82 if they don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mark Stone, Pietrangelo, any of these guys, if they need some time off and they're not like completely fighting for their playoff lives, they'll give it to them.
Jesse, same question about Jack. What do you think about Jack Eichel because, you know, he played on some terrible Sabres teams when he was healthy, comes back from this neck injury that was debilitating, has had point-a-game seasons, both of the last two, but 34 games and 67 games. So where do you see him this year, and how important is he to their success in the regular season?
I think the playoffs were a bit of a coming out party for Jack Eichel. You know, he had 26 points in 22 games,
Isn't
which
that
is
wild?
absolutely unreal. And yeah, for somebody who's been in the league that long to actually have him have a coming out party on that big of a stage.
Second overall pick.
It's so cool
Coming
to
out
see,
party.
you know? But I don't know.
Nobody ever believed.
I think Steve's right in that you don't need to push guys to the limit during the regular season because it is a lot of games. How many games?
82!
But Jack Eichel, I think, has still a lot to prove. And that's why I believe so much in the Vegas Golden Knights. They're somebody who...
That's a wild thing to say.
When the average person, well, the average hockey fan, I should say, looks at his resume and they say, okay, Jack Eichel, he's still what we think of him in Buffalo, even though he got it done with Vegas. He's never really had that standout regular season year. I'm sure Jack Eichel's coming here fired up. You know, coming off that Stanley Cup, they all want to repeat. I can see him going out and having a banger season.
Me too. I feel like that's interesting. Now, Ivan Barbashev was one of the players that the Leafs tried to get at the trade deadline. They ended up with Acciari and O'Reilly. They tried to get Barbashev too. He ends up in Vegas, wins a cup, and is sticking around for a really long time at a very reasonable contract, $5 million per year for the next 5 years. He's 27 years old. You get him in his prime. What does he bring to them over a full regular season?
I mean, he's a Vegas Golden Knight through and through. Just a brick shithouse, capable of playing heavy hockey, scores goals. He ran over Radko Gudas. He's not a defensive liability. And you know, you might look at him and say all of his skills are kind of mid. Like, they're not necessarily top end. They're not necessarily elite.
Is he the best or top 5 at anything that he does well?
Like,
but he does a lot of things well.
Like amongst his peers?
Like amongst the Golden Knights?
Golden Knights. I'm talking the league.
I mean, barely. Like, he's just a really strong all-around player. He can play multiple positions too.
Put him anywhere in the lineup.
Wing, center, like, he's just so versatile. And of course Vegas got him at a reasonable number.
Of course. Now, the other thing we got to tell you is that there are really great players on this team that we haven't mentioned. You know, sometimes when you're doing this, you're like, yeah, everybody knows about Connor McDavid. I don't need to talk about him. But Mark Stone, William Karlsson, Alex Pietrangelo, those are guys I want to bring up because William Karlsson's one of the OGs. He scored a ton of goals for them. He is their third-line center, but he's a pretty good one. Mark Stone being healthy is important, but Mark Stone when he is healthy.
We're recording this the day after he got ran over in a preseason game.
Oh, yeah.
Why do we do preseason games so much?
I don't know. He was pretty upset about it, too.
Yeah.
So what does he bring when you got him fully and healthy?
I mean, he's one of the best defensive forwards in the league, one of the best defensive wingers in the league. Really weird tape job. But he's a good leader. He plays with ridiculous fire. Like, a Mark Stone goal is terrifying. And if you ever talk to him in person, which I have, it doesn't match his on-ice persona.
He's just an intense guy on the ice.
Yeah, he's just... He showed up to the player media tour wearing probably a golf shirt that he bought at oh shit, I forgot to wear a shirt today. And like he just like he had the least expensive outfit of anyone who was at the media tour. He was just sort of like, yeah, no, I like tacos or like whatever we talked about that day. And then he gets on the ice and he's like Animal playing the drums on the Muppets. Like he's just a lunatic.
Pietrangelo, Jesse, what does he bring to this team? I mean, obviously St. Louis Blues fans know, but he was the standout against, even when they got beat by Montreal. What did you see from Pietrangelo last year in the playoff run that can carry over into this year?
Yeah, I think you have the leader of the defense core there. And a big thing I talked about last year when we were making our postseason predictions and all that is just how big the defense is and how they play. They're all over 6 feet. They're all over 200 pounds. And Petro's kind of the leader of that gang there. And they're a big hockey team. And it's hard to, and you saw it in the Edmonton series especially. That's where they really kind of showed their muscle and they shut down a Florida Panthers team that kind of beat everybody else up, and when they came up against the defense core of the Vegas Golden Knights, there was no pushback.
My favorite stat, and this is yours, every single member of the Vegas Golden Knights is over 6 feet tall, except the guy who won playoff MVP.
Yes.
Jonathan Marchessault.
We got to be quick about it. The goaltending. Listen, nobody believed in Vegas' goaltending last year. You can argue that they were good. You can argue probably a stronger argument that they got a little lucky. Do you think that this goaltending is enough to get them through the regular season in really good form?
It honestly might be better than Logan Thompson is a stupidly good underrated goalie on a stupidly good underrated contract. The problem is health. If he's healthy and he's going to split time with Adin Hill, I mean, it's as good as any tandem out there.
Jesse?
Yeah, the health thing is so important because we forget that this is a team that traded for Jonathan Quick and had him on the bench. He was the backup in many of their postseason games. His name's going on the Stanley Cup. I don't know. I think he made the list of the guys on the Stanley Cup trophy. I got to go double check in the Hockey Hall of Fame, but it might be there.
He got a shutout.
Yeah.
I think in his first game.
Oh, in the regular season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not in the playoffs. But they really struggle with the health of their goaltenders. And I don't know if Logan Thompson ends up as the starter just because he outplays Adin Hill. But yeah, it's a big question mark. But if they figure it out, they're going to be just as good.
I was trying to remember who their third goalie was because they did have to play him a couple times. Yuri Patera. I could see getting a couple starts.
To wrap it up, underrated depth potential pickup on a PTO. The only one in Vegas camp as of this recording is Max Comtois. Could be a valuable ad if he's 24 years old.
Ducks legend?
Yeah, Ducks legend Max Comtois could be valuable. The thing I want to ask you guys is where do they finish in the division?
Are they a cup favorite? Yes. You were not asking me for my cup favorite. You're asking me where they're going to finish in the division.
That's right.
Second.
Jesse?
I'm not going to bet against the Stanley Cup champions. I'm going to have them first.
Okay, I have them in second because I do feel like Steve said regular season isn't the priority. They got to win it all.
Edmonton and Vegas, the biggest issue I have with that is it'll be in the second round.
I know. I'm so disappointed, right? I know. It's going to be a fantastic matchup if and when it does happen. It's going to be an exciting year in Vegas.